about the church. I didn't care about what, I just accepted the fact that it was a thing here in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
And because I've lived here in Utah my whole life, essentially, it's just kind of the way it is. There's not a lot you can do about it, right? Just kind of the way that it is.
Uh-huh.
It's heavily incorporated into our politics, into our government.
Runs
Essentially,
everything.
every aspect of life in one way, shape, or form is influenced by the church here in this state.
Mm-hmm.
But that necessarily wasn't an issue for me. That didn't bother me. That wasn't something that I felt like I just didn't care and didn't really look at it. And then recently, in listening to this Mormon Stories podcast and hearing some of these stories and really just starting to go back and look at how much of an impact the religion had on my entire life in so many different regards, right? Not the defining characteristics of things and not the defining factors, but such a heavy influence on so many different things. And you and I've talked about this a little bit, but the list is endless. All of the shame because of actions and behaviors. And I think we used to joke in my family that we were just like poor white trash from Center Street. And we weren't poor, but we were low income, right? Kind of, but at the same time, like, what I'm getting at is I think we used to joke about it as a family, but I think because there was a part of it too that I never felt like our family was accepted by the community, and I never felt accepted by all of those groups, and I always felt like an outsider. But yet everything that we did had some connection to the church in some way, shape, or form, even if it wasn't a church activity in a sense. First and foremost, like I said, scouting was a very big part of my upbringing in my family because we were heavily involved in it. And all of that was church-related stuff. So at the church, for scout meetings, pack meetings, ceremonies, all that kind of stuff, all of that stuff took place at the church. Everybody else that was in scouting with us was Mormon and was part of the church. But I think that it feels like they never accepted our family, and our family was always kind of like the black sheep in a sense. And that I carried that in regards to my friendships with all of these other kids my age who were the same thing, heavily involved in the church, all LDS, and never feeling like I really belonged, and that I was always judged, and having to just kind of accept that and still move on because I wanted to still be friends with these people. And like that dynamic of even my closest friends, even like my best friends growing up, all of them were Mormon. And I felt like all of them, meaning like their families and their parents, and in some way, shape, or form, them as individuals as well, judged me for not being. So there was always some level of judgment that existed because I was not. And so I had to figure out a way to internalize that without letting it affect me so that I can continue to have friends and hang out with these guys that I was hanging out with. And that was like my entire life. That was from like as early as you start hanging out with friends at school all the way up until you graduate from high school. And it's all the same group of people because it's the small town. Mm-hmm. So there was never any, like I can sit here as I'm bringing this up and talking about just this dynamic. I can think about time and 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 time again, where I have all of these moments of recognition of when I felt that judgment, mm-hmm. right? When I went into a situation and there was a part of myself that would forget about it and wouldn't look at it and wouldn't worry about it. Like if it was me and my buddies out riding bikes around town and messing around, for the most part, it wasn't there, right? Every now and then it would pop up, but it wasn't a big deal. But then like going back to their houses or a birthday party or, do you know what I mean? Some event or scouting thing, then suddenly it's all there. And they fall in line with the norm. Mm-hmm. And then I get it from them as well. So I get it from my closest friends, from the people that I love and care about and that I'm spending all of my time with as a kid. Still getting that judgment. And that's, you know, I mean, there's only one way that it feels. It feels like you're being looked down upon. Like mm-hmm. It feels like, and I know that they would articulate it differently. I know that they all have different justifications. And I know the church as a whole has a, you know, like their whole idea that they're just trying to provide this beautiful religion to the world and they want everybody to come into the fold because it's, you know, you
want everybody to make it to the celestial kingdom.
Yeah. Like I know that they have a way of justifying it, but the way it manifests in action and behavior, if you're on the outside of it, is fucking judgment. It makes you feel like shit. And I had to internalize all of that so that I could still kind of exist in the same social groups that I was in.